Kia ora and welcome to Beer Club. I'm Luke and today we're drinking a beer from 8 Wired and it is Red October, a Vienna lager. If you've been in the Beer Club for a while, you probably know a little bit about 8 Wired. Definitely one of my favourite breweries, one of the most awarded breweries in New Zealand. Really great people that do everything well pretty much. And they release a lot of cool seasonals, but their core range is really impressive. Their iced out is absolutely one of my favourite beers, and it's lovely that it's pretty much always available. So you can go and visit them. They're up north of Auckland. They've got their beautiful barrel works, as I say, just won endless awards and have a really great story. But we're not going to get into that today, despite them being great, because the story of Vienna Lager is possibly even more interesting than the story of 8 Wide. So Vienna Lager is all thanks to one bloke, Anton Dreher, who unsurprisingly brewed beer near Vienna in Austria. And in 1841, he came up with something pretty similar to what we're drinking here. So he was a fantastic and very experienced and very well-travelled brewer who had travelled around and picked up knowledge from various places, most importantly Germany, where he'd learned all about lagering and making fantastic pilsners and lagers and bottom fermentation and cold storage, and he'd also visited Britain and Burton, where he'd learned all about maltings and about how different temperatures and different durations of time would make the malted barley give completely different flavours to your beer. So he combined this expertise of lager brewing and of malting to design his own malt, which was a Vienna malt, which is still a very popular malt. It's a malt that I love brewing with at Small Gods. It's often a malt that I'll use as a base malt. So generally brewers will use an ale malt, or Pilsner malt is really popular, any kind of like pale malt. But I really enjoy working with Vienna malt because it just has a little bit more biscuitiness, basically, a little bit more character, a little touch of colour. And when you are brewing beers, pale and dark beers, but especially dark beers, the majority of the malt you use in there are pale malts because they convert into sugars, which convert to alcohol most easily. So when you're drinking a dark beer, it's not made with all black malts. It's a very small amount of black malts actually. It mainly is highly fermentable pale malts, so Pilsner, ale malt. And when I'm brewing stouts, I like using a range of mid-colour malts to give you different layers and complexity in your beer. But anyway, you're not looking for a brewing or a home brewing lesson from me. We're back onto Vienna malt. And that sort of biscuity, coffee, round flavour just works so nicely with that crisp, clean, dry lager finish. It's something I really enjoy. I often talk about really enjoying amber lagers and the whole spectrum, but the combination of a beer that is really dry on the finish, it just keeps you coming back for more swigs, but it's also got some good character, some good flavour, and then it's also not totally overwhelming. It's that thing I talk about all the time, just a sessionable beer that is really well made, and you can just keep drinking it. So this is a beer style that became huge and huge around the world, and in fact in the last 50 years it's been most popular in Mexico. So as the Vienna lager style has waned in Austria and across Europe, it became the dominant style really in Mexico. These lovely, I suppose, slightly copper-coloured or amber-coloured, slightly darker lagers, thanks to the Austrian brewers that relocated there. But back to 1841, it was such an exciting time for beer. There was so much happening in well, in everything. It was the height of the Industrial Revolution. There was the Opium Wars were in full swing. Europe was coming to terms with the post-Napoleonic world. Lots of stuff was happening in America. I don't know if Texas was purchased around that time, I think maybe. But if you've watched The House of Guinness recently, which is a really enjoyable historic romp, that is set in around 1841 because Guinness first exported beer to New York in 1840. So you have these beer barons, these empires around breweries that were just growing massively at this time. And in Britain, of course, in Burton, the railroads were really kicking off, and the railroads hit Burton. So that meant that suddenly the beer could be much more free-flowing around the country, and of course, in turn, around the empire and the world in general. So I think it was in 1842 that Pilsner Urquell started brewing beer. So yeah, we think about a period of history, it's 150 years ago, as being ancient times, and that people didn't have WhatsApp and TikTok, and perhaps things spread slowly, but not really. You know, it really wasn't that difficult for a business person or a brewer to get on a boat, to travel to the USA, and certainly to speed around Europe on trains. And there would have been exchanges, and there would have been people learning, and of course the postal service was just about as quick as it is today. So yeah, there definitely would have been sharing of news, of knowledge, of developments, and yeah, with the Industrial Revolution really at its peak in that time, there were fantastic developments being made in technology around fermentation and around maltings. So yeah, a real, really explosive time in beer. Although it wasn't as good as today, because of course you would not be drinking a Pilsner one moment and then a Vienna Lager the next moment and then a Burton Pale Ale the next. Things were still pretty regional, and as much as beer was being exported and travelling around the world, it wasn't as though you could go to a pub and have 12 different styles of beer on tap. So yeah, this is a really delicious example from 8 Wired, as they usually do. It is very true to style. They haven't decided to whack a load more hops in or do anything too crazy with it. It's just a beautifully made beer that really celebrates that Vienna malt. And it's Red October. It's well, I suppose it's a kind of red beer. So I've noticed a couple of other brewers actually recently releasing Vienna lagers and calling them red Vienna lagers, which I was a little bit confused by. Is it a new style or a spin-off? But I suppose it is just that it's a slightly red lager, so it's not a distinct thing whatsoever from Vienna lager style. It just is this sort of nutty red colour. And yeah, homage Red October to The Hunt for Red October. If you haven't seen that, it's an excellent film with Sean Connery, starring our own Sam Neill, one of the greatest New Zealand actors. So if you haven't watched that film, you should check it out. All right, that is it from me. I'm sure I'll think of various other things that I could have chatted to you about the 1840s, but I'll have to leave that to the next time we drink a Vienna lager. Thank you for joining us as always. Hope you're enjoying this beautiful weather. Oh, I was also going to tell you quickly about Anton Dreher. He had a whole empire of breweries across Europe. And when I first read about him and his connections to Vienna Lager, inventing it, Vienna malt, I thought back to all the time I've spent in Hungary. So I've travelled to Hungary mainly for the Ziget Music Festival, probably 8 different times. And Dreher is a brewer there and a brand of lager, which is a not very good lager, to be honest. It's sort of your just ubiquitous national lager in a green can, drunk in great volumes, sort of like your Carling or Carlsberg or that sort of thing. And I looked up the connection between Dreher and Anton Dreher in Austria, and unsurprisingly, it was the Austrian Dreher family that did start this huge brewery near Budapest and grew into a gigantic thing, and it is now owned by, I think, AB InBev that own it. So yeah, very wide-ranging influence of Anton Dreher across the entire beer world. See you next time. Cheers.